Are you thinking about marriage, but you're not quite sure if you're ready? Don't let surprises ruin your happily ever after. Marriage is a very big deal. It's important for you and your partner to have all those tough conversations now to prevent having those hard conversations later. Stay tuned to the end of this video to find out the 15 things that you should discuss with your partner before you walk down the aisle. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Own Your Ship podcast. We are just going to dive straight into it. You already saw the title. You know what we're talking about. We're going over the things that need to be discussed before you get married. Point number 1, finances. It's important that you guys have an understanding of how finances are going to be handled, who's going to be handling what kind of expenses you have, and how all of this can impact the relationship. As you know, finances is one of the reasons why marriages don't last. And the last thing you want to do is get all your finances intertwined with someone only for the relationship not to work because the expectations around finances were not discussed. Point number 2, family planning. Family planning is a huge decision. Deciding whether or not you guys want to have kids, if you're going to adopt, when you're going to start having kids, is a huge deal. And in many cases, a deal breaker. These conversations are important to have now. And I'll give you an example. Can you imagine getting married to someone and after a year or two, when you finally decide to have the conversation about having kids, you find out your partner doesn't want any? You may not have married this person had you known they did not want children. And now you're married, all your things are intertwined, and you don't know what to do. And yes, people do this. We become so infatuated with the idea of who our partner is that we just assume that they're on the same page as we are and they want the same things that we do. And in many cases, that's not the case. So it's important to have these conversations as early as possible to prevent any form of miscommunication, misunderstandings that could possibly happen down the line. Point number 3, career goals. Being in a relationship with someone who is career driven is absolutely attractive. But what if that career choice or that business choice takes away valuable time from your relationship? Is it worth it then? It's important to have a conversation around career goals and how these goals will impact the relationship. At this point, you both will be able to determine whether or not this potential new lifestyle will be suitable for you both. Point number 4, living arrangements. It's so important for you to determine what comes next. Are you guys going to be moving into a place that you found together? Will you move into his place? Will you move into her place? Will you stay with the in-laws until you decide what your next step is going to be? These are conversations that are important to have before you walk down the aisle, as it can determine how you handle your next steps. Point number 5, communication and conflict resolution. Do you know how to effectively communicate with your partner? 9 out of 10 times people say yes. But there's always room for improvement. And no relationship is perfect. There are going to be times where you guys have disagreements. How will you handle conflict? When this person gets upset, how do they respond? When you guys have disagreements, how do you respond? This is so important because this is also a very huge reason why relationships don't work out. You find that partners become disrespectful. They don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to effectively get their point across without being disrespectful. So this is something to pay attention to before you get married. If you see the red flags, pay attention. Don't make a permanent decision based off temporary things like looks and, dare I say, affection. If you stuck around to this point of the video, thank you so much. I want you to get into those comments and share with me what are some other pointers you think would be beneficial to discuss before you get married. Point number 6, religious or spiritual beliefs. Believe it or not, this plays a huge role in whether or not relationships last. And here's why. Usually when it's just two people, each person having their own individual belief is not usually a big deal. But when the kids come into play, sometimes it gets tricky here. Figuring out how you both will handle your religion and your spiritual beliefs is super important, especially as it pertains to your kids. How will they be raised? Will they share both religions? Will you allow them the opportunity to pick what they want to believe? 7, relationship roles and expectations. Now, we know this one. Even though we don't like to say it out loud, every partner has a role in their relationship. And this is something that you both have to discover together. So whether that be you take care of the bathrooms, you clean the kitchen, he cooks, he takes the trash out, he puts the kids to sleep, you iron the clothes, you do the laundry, whatever it is, I want to stress an important point. Don't allow society to determine or dictate what works for your relationship. Your expectations should be built around what's important to you guys and how it works for you. Don't allow society to determine who does what. A husband does not have to take the trash out. The wife does not have to cook. It really boils down to what works for you. That's all that matters. Point number 8, social life. Yes, you are in a relationship, but that doesn't mean you cut your friends off. Now is an important time for you to learn how you're going to balance your friendships and your relationship. And yes, it can get tricky. Sometimes it will even get hard, but it's possible to have a healthy relationship and have healthy friendships. You and your partner can now decide how you'll handle this part of the relationship. Will there be allotted time designated to you and your partner? Will there be allotted time designated to you and your friendships? Is there a special day that you and your partner will hang out? Is there a special evening that you'll go hang out with the girls or kick it with the guys? These are things that you guys can discuss. Point number 9. Future goals. What do you want for your future? Does it align with what your partner wants? In many cases, there might be differences. Again, you guys aren't monoliths. You guys will have different experiences and different wants and needs, but does it fit into the concept of your relationship? For example, if you want to be a movie star and it requires you to be away from the home for months on end, is that something your partner is willing to work with you on? If not, you guys need to have a tough conversation. 10, trust and fidelity. Every relationship is different. And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Do not allow society to dictate how you operate in your relationship or what you do in your relationship. The concept of fidelity is so subjective. And I know you're probably saying, Melissa, what are you talking about? It's either you're cheating or you're not. Says who? It really depends on what the rules are in your relationship. If you were to double tap on an Instagram model's picture, would that be considered infidelity? If you were to go out and have drinks with a friend of the opposite sex, would that be considered infidelity? These are some of the questions that you have to ask. Where is the line? How far is too far? Setting these boundaries early in the relationship prevents any miscommunication going down the road. Remember, trust is something that is so hard to rebuild. So be mindful of the decisions that you make because they can impact and sometimes even destroy your relationship. 11, physical intimacy and sex. Do you know what your partner likes? Do you know what gets them in the mood? If not, now is a good time to have that conversation and determine what their needs are. There's this idea that when you get married, everything is just going to be great. Sometimes it won't be. Sometimes things will change and you won't feel the urge to want to do anything, but it's important to communicate with your partner about how to maneuver when situations like these occur. 12, mental and emotional needs. We're living in a time where talking about mental health and even therapy is becoming less taboo. Yes, we still have a long way to go before we destigmatize mental health and therapy, but until then, what are some things that you can do in your relationship to help your partner with their mental wellness? Have conversations around the things that make you tick, around past experiences, things that are even sometimes traumatic. Creating that safe space with your partner encourages vulnerability, and without that, the relationship can't last. 13, extended family. Will your in-laws have a key to your house? Can they just show up whenever they want? Uninvited? What about arguments or disagreements? Is it okay for you to respond to your in-laws when they say something to you that's out of pocket? Have these conversations with your partner. No one knows their parents better than you do. And if there's some things that just won't fly, you got to let your partner know. Yes, they're grown and they can do whatever they want. But if you want your relationship to work, then you're going to have to learn to pick your battles. And dealing with issues surrounding your in-laws are better left to your partner. 14, holidays and traditions. Will you guys be creating your own traditions? Will you be participating in traditions that have come before you? How will you navigate life as a married couple when both of you used to individually spend holidays with your respective families? These are the conversations you need to have. Compromise is going to play a huge role in this part. And remember, you can't always have it your way. Finally, 15, legal matters. This is the part that too many couples don't get excited about. The thought of having to bring anything legal into the relationship besides the marriage license can be kind of triggering. I'm talking about getting a prenup. We've heard it all before. If you need me to sign a prenup, that means you don't really love me. That means you're planning on leaving. That means you don't think the relationship is going to work. Yeah, we heard it. But the truth is, a prenup is a responsible idea. Look, no one wants their relationship to end, but unfortunately, sometimes it does. How are you going to protect yourself in the event that the relationship has to end? We've seen it all over social media. We've seen it in the news, relationships ending and people walking away with nothing. What are the stipulations for this relationship? What will happen if this relationship ends? I know going through all of this can seem somewhat overwhelming, but these are important conversations to have with your partner. And if you are the type of person who wants to make sure your relationship gets off on the right foot, then I would love to share with you my new ebook, Love Under Construction. This ebook is a foundational ebook. It provides you with so many different tools to help you get your relationship on the right track. In this book, we talk about commitment, we talk about compromise, we talk about coins, we talk about communication. These are all essential for having a solid relationship. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes so you guys can go ahead and grab your copy today. Well, guys, you know I love to keep my episodes short and sweet. So if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please go ahead and rate and leave a review. This gives listeners like you an opportunity to get to know this podcast. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Until we meet again, please take care.